Yep, these Super Saiyan transformations were graded. Super Saiyan Pop Quiz! Hey guys, MasterCoX here. Now I've talked about Super Saiyans quite a few times in my discussion videos. I've talked about why Super Saiyan 3 was cool but dumb, Super Saiyan 4 to be fierce yet underappreciated, and the idea of female Super Saiyans being entirely possible. This time we're scaling back the forms to a form before Super Saiyan 4, before Super Saiyan 3, the form which for quite a while was the strongest a Super Saiyan could get, Super Saiyan 2, or Super Saiyan Grade 5. Wait, Masako, grades? What kind of schoolyard voodoo is this? Why have you got to remind me of high school? I'm sorry. I don't remember school fondly myself, but the whole idea of grades is important to the establishment of Super Saiyans as we know them. For a while, it was the only way we actually referred to Super Saiyans. Take your minds back to the early 1990s, when Dragon Ball Z was fresh on Japanese TVs. The idea of Super Saiyans was still fresh in the minds of many fans across the land. And not before too long, the characters in that show were finding new variations and trying to discover a level beyond Super Saiyan. They were chasing something greater, and those forms proved quite fruitful for the characters and Toei's coffers. These new forms were miles ahead of the golden-haired warrior that terrorized Frieza in the Namek saga a couple of years previously. Much like that saga, the talk of an ascended Super Saiyan was right throughout the whole series, with Goku actually kind of summing it up in the Buu saga as a Super Saiyan that has ascended beyond the level of a Super Saiyan. That really rolls off the tongue. In any case, the talk of a new form got Vegeta and Goku quite curious, and they spent most of the saga trying to chase after it. As the Cell saga progressed, we started to see new forms taking shape, with Goku, Vegeta and Trunks leading the charge. These forms mostly consisted of either getting shinier, getting bulkier, getting stronger, getting more whiny, desperate in the case of Super Vegeta's final flash, and yeah, it kinda looked a bit out of their depth as Cell was completely trouncing them all. These forms were clearly not battle ready, especially Trunks' ultimate form. They were to the detriment of their speed, and Cell was just running circles around them, or more accurately, flying circles around them. But nevertheless, they were stepping stones towards a higher plane of Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, although at the time, it wasn't called Super Saiyan 2. The first recorded use of Super Saiyan 2 was in chapter 474 of the Dragonball manga published in Weekly Shonen Jump, coincidentally in the 10th year of Dragon Ball's publication in that magazine. Chapter 474 was released in the summer of 1994. In that chapter, Goku is detailing the different stages of Super Saiyan to Majin Buu and Babidi, culminating in the unveiling of a totally new form, Super Saiyan 3. So we had a new terminology of Super Saiyans right there and then. I can imagine fans at the time were completely flustered or confused. It's like, well, this is different to what we had before, but okay. The anime further established this in November of the same year, about 5 months later. So between the months of May 1993 and roughly June of 1994, Super Saiyan 2 didn't have a name per se. What did all the publications and TV series and channels do in the meantime? Well, they pretty much winged it. But before we go into that, let's just talk about the form itself. What is it supposed to be? Well, at the time of the Cell games, it was meant to be the end point of the long sought after search for a new transformation of Super Saiyan, which had been dogging Vegeta and Trunks and Goku and everyone else throughout the entire arc. It had eluded Vegeta and Goku, but it was realized in Gohan. We had glimpses of Super Saiyan 2 unknowingly during Goku and Gohan's training in the time chamber. For a split second, Gohan reaches Super Saiyan 2 before collapsing onto the ground. And everyone at the time probably thought this was just him powering up, or they couldn't really think of anything what that could have been. It was all speculation at the time. Looking back with hindsight, that was the first scene of Super Saiyan 2 in Dragon Ball Z. In terms of raw power, it is 2 times stronger than a Super Saiyan, and 100 times stronger than a base Saiyan. Now, that doesn't actually sound that much when you compare it to the multipliers of Super Saiyans 3 and 4, but you gotta look at it with context here. At the time of Super Saiyan 2's conception, the form was pretty much Super Saiyan 1 version 5.0. Prior to 1994, the use of grades to denote different levels of Super Saiyan was fairly commonly used. These grades went thus. Super Saiyan Grade 1, the OG of the SSJ. Pretty straightforward really. Any Saiyan which has attained the level of Super Saiyan has achieved this form. That includes the likes of Goten, Trunks, and Kaba in Dragon Ball Super. Super Saiyan Grade 2, or Super Vegeta. This form was shown off quite a lot in the Imperfect Cell saga. Vegeta liked to show it off in particular. Ultimately, it was just an act of intimidation and a forced increase in energy output. Instead of shooting all that energy outwards, the user kept it inside and used it to bulk up their muscles as a sign of looking cool and evil and scary, trying to make Cell quiver in his cell-like boots. Nevertheless, both power and speed were increased slightly. Super Saiyan Grade 3. Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and even Cell reached this point. But Goku and Vegeta never used this form because during their training, they realized that due to this increased bulk, their speed was penalized, and as a result, they just dubbed this third grade of Super Saiyan as totally useless. Only Cell and Trunks have used it in battle. Cell used it, or a variation of Super Saiyan Grade 3, in a temper tantrum as he wasn't getting his way. He bulked up out of frustration and it just proved dumb. And Trunks used it trying to quickly dispatch of Cell due to brute strength, but that didn't work either. This form was implied to be the strongest, not necessarily the best, a Super Saiyan could hope to achieve. Simple 3 grades, right? Nope! There was a little tidbit published on the 31st of May 1993, and this was just weeks after Gohan achieved Super Saiyan 2 as we know it, and months after it was in the manga. This said tidbit was a Super Saiyan guide thrown into the anime comic adaptation of the history of Trunks. Those kind of manga-like things with anime screenshots thrown in there, bit lazy, it's just a cheap ploy. But since this would be published straight after Gohan achieving this new form, it would make perfect sense to just throw this bit in there so copies of this book would sell. So thanks to this revelation, we got an extra 2 grades of Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan Grade 4. This is the form that Goku and Gohan attained after they emerged from the time chamber. You know, that form where there's no aura, they look quite normal, they look quite chilled out. There's a reason for that. It's basically a fully mastered Super Saiyan with bulk, power, and speed in complete harmony. The strain of being Super Saiyan has been completely negated. They can just go about their lives as they were without really noticing that they're Super Saiyan. This was the perfect springboard to achieve the next grade, Super Saiyan Grade 5. A fully mastered Super Saiyan at full power, or at least that's what you could describe it at the time. When unlocked, sparks of electricity are flying about the user in a state of pure violent energy. It denotes sheer force and intensity, which is bound to make anyone pee their pants if they're going up against them. That 2x multiplier going from Super Saiyan 1 has now been fully realized. This is what would later become known as Super Saiyan 2. So there we go. This little featurette, which was relatively harmless in the grand scheme of things, had to play double duty for upwards of a year, appeasing the Dragon Ball fans of their desire to know stats and numbers and grades and all this data. This was all before the anime and manga retconned the entire nomenclature of Super Saiyans. Instead of grades, we got numbers. Super Saiyans 1, 2, 3, and later 4. This was before Dragon Ball Super introduced the terminology and idea of Super Saiyan God forms. But I still think that the numbering of the forms is just much more logical. It makes so much more sense. And more importantly for Toei, much more marketable. Marketing! There it was again. Big thanks to Herms from Kanzenshu for the idea for this little video, as well as scanning that important little tidbit. So what do you guys think? Do you like the idea of grades or numbers for Super Saiyan transformations? Leave a comment below, check out the poll on the top right, and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Until then, catch you later.